Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Abdul Fatah, and today I'd very much like to explain and analyze the generic structures in a narrative text. And today I've chosen a quite interesting story or a folklore from the land of Britain, aka England. The narrative text this one is called The King Arthur. Before I start, I'll explain a bit about the four generic structures of narrative text. There are orientation, complication, resolution, and last but not least, reorientation. And what exactly is orientation? The orientation sets the scene, where and when the story happened, and introduces the participants of the story, who and what is involved in the story. And what is complication? It tells the beginning of the problems, which leads to the crisis or climax of the main participants. And we go to the resolution. The problem or the crisis is resolved, either in a happy ending or in sad ending. And last, reorientation or coda. This is a closing remark of the story, and it is optional. It consists of a moral lesson, advice, or teaching from the writer. And now, I will read the orientation of the King Arthur. Once upon a time, the legend was come from the England. It told about a king. He was a man who used to follow the battle. In England, many men followed the battles to fight their land with the enemy. As a common soldier, someone had to use the sword and axes. He had to wear the clothes from the steel, which could save his body. He was called a knight. And here's the complication. But when Arthur left the palace, he never used sword and axes. So his chief Merlin gave him a secret. Although he did not have a sword and axes, he had a friend who could make or do magic things. Merlin told him to take the magic sword, but he had to follow Merlin. And now we are going to the resolution part. King Arthur obeyed him. He had to pass the valley and many mountains in his long journey. Finally, they got to the lake. Merlin asked to stop there. Merlin asked him to get down to the lake and stood on the shore of the lake. Suddenly, King Arthur saw a stranger thing from the lake. It was a sword which had a golden handle. And there was a beautiful lady who he did not know. She appeared from the lake. She told that she was a lady of the lake and asked him to take the magic sword. King Arthur took it from her arm, and after that, the arm sank beneath into the water. And for the last part of the structures of the narrative text is a reorientation or coda. For this one is quite simple and quite short. The coda for the King Arthur is, it was why the King Arthur had a magic sword.